Hello friends, at the beginning of this incident, a spaceship is traveling in space to reach its destination, a colony on another planet named Homestead 2. This spaceship is running on autopilot mode. This is the crew members' sleeping room. 258 crew members are sleeping. 5,000 passengers are sleeping in mechanical equipment sleeping chambers, who will wake up as per the time only after the ship reaches another planet. There is a protective shield installed at the front of the spaceship which works to protect the ship from the space rocks. But suddenly a huge stone collides with the protective shield, after which the ship starts shaking a lot. Due to the collision, the ship automatically starts repairing all the ship's faults. But a sleeping chamber gets damaged beyond repair and the man sleeping in it wakes up before reaching the planet on time. His name is Jim. Jim is sent by automatic instructions to the meeting room where he finds himself only and there is no other person in that room. Then the machine says, "You all are welcome. Please everyone sit down." Jim asks the machine where the other passengers are. Hearing this, the machine says that there are 5,000 passengers and 238 crew members present here. Hearing this, Jim understands that the machine is only giving automatic instructions. Jim runs outside and finds out if anyone else is awake besides him. He also looks outside the spaceship. He takes a lift in which due to lack of gravity he starts floating in the air. Then somehow he reaches the grand hall. He doesn't find anyone there either. Then he goes to the control room which is locked. Now Jim begins to feel that he is the only one awake on the ship and all the other passengers are sleeping in the sleeping chamber. Seeing all this, Jim gets very upset and then he goes to the instruction room, where the automatic machine tells that we are on a journey from Earth to another planet and it will take about 90 more years to reach there. Now this ship has completed 30 years of its journey. Jim is stunned to hear all this. Now Jim realizes that he has woken up early. Jim's eyes fill with tears thinking about this. After some time, he starts trying to fix the sleeping chamber but his efforts do not work. Then Jim goes towards the control room with all the mechanical tools and tries his best to open that room but he is unable to open it. After that, Jim was walking thinking something when he sees a robot in the ship which looks exactly like a human, who is a bartender by profession. Jim tells robot about his bad situation. Then the robot explains to him and gives him courage to live life. The robot says that stop worrying about what is not in your control and enjoy what is under your control. Hearing this, Jim tries to change himself and enjoys all the entertainment facilities available in the spaceship. But gradually he gets bored with all this. Then one day, while having a drink, Jim is looking at all the sleeping chambers in which all the passengers are sleeping and feeling alone. He angrily throws the bottle on the ground. Jim then goes to the spacesuit room and puts on the spacesuit and presses the exit button to leave the ship. The safety cable that is attached to the ship connects to Jim's spacesuit. After that, Jim is flying in space with the help of a safety cable. He is left speechless after seeing the beauty of space and tears well up in his eyes. Feeling very alone, he starts crying. Then Jim comes inside the ship. But he thinks of turning back and without wearing a spacesuit, he goes near that exit button and presses that button to end his life in space. But then thinking about the future, Jim gets scared and starts running inside the ship, due to which his foot falls on a fallen bottle, he slips and falls on the ground. After some time he slowly stands up. Then his eyes fall on a very beautiful girl sleeping in the sleeping chamber. Jim sees his name written on the sleeping chamber. Her name is Aurora. Seeing her gives Jim a hope to live life. He finds out about her in the ship library. She is a writer by profession. Jim sits near the robot for several hours and keeps talking about Aurora. The name of the robot is Arthur. One day Jim's eyes fall on the book that opens the sleeping chamber. An idea comes to his mind to wake up the girl Aurora sleeping in the sleeping chamber. Jim spends several hours standing in front of Aurora's sleeping chamber, wondering whether it would be right to do so or not. He gets trapped in his thoughts of right and wrong. But due to his loneliness, Jim cannot control himself and decides to wake up Aurora by destroying the sleeping chamber. Jim goes to his room, afraid of the place that has ruined Aurora's sleeping chamber. Aurora wakes up from the sleeping chamber and stands up. Then after some time Jim comes to Aurora and explains the fault of the ship while hiding the mess he has made. After that, the calculation of premature awakening also showed that it would take 89 more years for the ship to reach the other planet. Jim also shows Aurora the locked control room, when Aurora notices a lot of mechanical equipment kept around there. Aurora asks Jim how long has it been since you woke up from the machine. Jim tells him that it has been a year and 3 weeks since he woke up. Hearing all this, Aurora gets very nervous. Then she goes to room to rest for a while. Jim goes to the robot and tells the robot about the mess he made and also asks the robot to keep it a secret. Jim tells the robot that he will tell Aurora the truth when the time is right. Jim and Aurora introduce themselves to each other while eating food prepared by mechanical machine. Gradually a deep friendship develops between the two. After a few days, Aurora also tries her best to open the control room like Jim but fails. Aurora gets tired after many attempts. Jim then introduces Aurora to robot Arthur. Let's talk for some time while having dinner there. Jim then takes Aurora to the space suit room. Both of them wear space suits and go out of the spaceship and enjoy the planetarium. Like Jim, Aurora is also amazed by the beauty of the space. After which the relationship between them becomes deeper. A few days later, Jim celebrates Aurora's birthday. Both take drinks from the robot, and while taking the drinks, Aurora jokingly tells the robot that he did not check my ID if I am not old enough to drink. Then the robot says that I will not ask your age in front of a gentleman. Aurora says that Jim is not a gentleman and anyway there is nothing hidden between us. Then Jim leaves from there to get the ring kept with him with which he will propose to Aurora. The robot begins to believe that Jim has already told Aurora the truth about destroying Aurora's sleeping chamber. With this thought, the robot tells Aurora that today is the day I remember how desperate Jim was to meet you a year ago. Then Aurora is surprised and asks how Jim could be so desperate to meet me. The robot then tells Aurora that Jim will spend several days deciding whether or not to wake you up from the sleeping chamber. He always kept talking about you. Hearing all this, Aurora gets shocked and realizes that Jim has deliberately woken her up by spoiling the sleeping chamber. The robot tells Aurora that Jim told him it was the hardest decision of his life. Just then Jim comes there and seeing Aurora upset, asks the reason. Aurora asks the Jim, "Are you wake me up?" Then the Jim looks at anger towards the robot and understands that Aurora has all been known. Aurora crying and asks why you did this. Then the Jim says that he could not stop himself from doing that. Aurora starts crying a lot and he goes away from the room. Aurora is quite troubled for several days. Then one night she goes to the Jim and rains her kick. Jim, everything tues quietly. After that Aurora goes away from there. The Jim seems to be regretted on his own. Then the next morning Aurora is exercising. Jim tells him to explain his mistake Aurora from his room by audio speaker that I was very lonely for a long time. It seemed as if my life has ended, but at the same time I looked at you in the sleeping chamber. You saved my life. Listening to this, Aurora screamed that I do not care what you want. You have wake me up prematurely and was ruined my life. She goes from there by saying this. Then a few days later the ship technical parts starts to get worse. Another sleeping chamber gets spoiled, in which the main chief of the ship is. The chief comes from the sleeping chamber and comes to the Jim and Aurora. Chief takes all the inquiries and they will find that 88 years remaining of the ship to reach the second planet. The chief gets surprise. After that, he opens the control room with the help of his ID band and tries to explore the ship's tables. Ship chief also checks sleeping chamber and understands that Aurora's sleeping chamber has deliberately been spoiled. He questions from the Jim. Jim accepts his mistake. After some time, Aurora discussed this matter with chief. Then the chief eyes that I know that he has done this wrong, but a drowning man needs straw and what he could do. By speaking that, chief goes to his room. 3 days later, the gravity inside the wrench starts poor due to technical malfunction in the spaceship, so that all the things inside the ship starts swimming on air. Then after a while, the gravity of the ship becomes normal and reached the all three to control room and all the bad things start checking again. The machine describes that a large malfunction has come within the ship, due to which the entire system will be stalled. All three turns to find the main part of ship where there is a big fault. But only then the chief of the ship falls unconscious. They are examined with the medical scanning machine kept in the ship, in which many diseases are reported in the body. Chief inquires about serious illness with the help of his ID band. The medical scanning machine instructs that he has only a few hours left to live. Hearing this, Chief's eyes fill with tears and he goes to his room. In the last moments of his life, he is remembering the moments of his life by wearing uniform. After some time, Jim and Aurora arrive there. Chief gives his ID band to Jim and says that both of you take care of each other. With the help of this ID band, you will be able to go to every place on the ship. Try to fix the ship. After saying this, the ship's chief dies. Then after some time, the emergency alarm starts sounding in the spaceship. Jim and Aurora help each other fix the ship. The two head to the ship's power plant where they discover a major malfunction. Jim tells Aurora that the malfunction is in the reactor system, where huge flames of fire were rising. Jim turns the handle to turn on the pressure on the vent so that the flames can go out, but he fails because the outer door on the power plant side is jammed. Then Jim tells Aurora that we have to cool the reactor by opening the outer door of the ship, otherwise the ship will explode. Aurora asks Jim how we will do this. Then Jim says that I have to go out of the ship and open that door from outside. Jim says that I will open the door and go to a safe place and then you have to turn the handle so that by applying pressure on the vent, the fire will go out of the door and the reactor will cool down. Then Aurora asks Jim how would you save yourself if the flames came near you. Jim takes a part of the ship as fire protection. Jim gives the chief's ID band to Aurora and starts leaving when Aurora stops him and takes a promise to come back safely and says that she will not be able to survive on this ship without you. Hearing all this, Jim becomes happy and goes out of the spaceship, promising to come back. Jim reaches the outer door of the ship's power plant area in space. After reaching there, it is found that the door is closing automatically after opening. Jim understood that he would have to stand there and keep the door open. Jim tells the situation to Aurora through Bluetooth. The flames inside the power plant are also increasing rapidly. Jim asks Aurora to turn the handle to start the reactor, but Aurora refuses, saying that if she does so, she will not be able to escape the flames. Then Jim starts explaining to Aurora that we have to try this or else the ship will explode. Apart from us, there are 5,000 more passengers on this ship who are currently sleeping in the sleeping chambers. We have to save their lives. Jim asks Aurora again to turn the handle. Aurora turns the handle with crying. After which, due to the pressure of the vent, all the flames start moving towards the door where Jim keeps the door open with a safety shield. All the flames go out of the power plant, but Jim is thrown far away from the ship due to the pressure of the fire and his safety cable which is attached to the ship also breaks. Now Jim is floating in the air in space. Then Jim suddenly starts moving towards the ship's hot engine. Jim throws that heavy protective shield towards the hot engine due to which the pressure of throwing the heavy object, Jim starts moving in the other direction away from the hot engine. Then Jim contacts Aurora again via Bluetooth. Aurora becomes happy hearing Jim's voice. Aurora tells Jim that our efforts have worked. Aurora tells Jim to come inside the ship. Jim explains that his spacesuit has a hole in it and the safety cable that connects him to the ship is also broken. He will not be able to return inside the ship on his own. Then Aurora says that she will come outside the ship and bring him inside the ship. Then Jim gets a warning from his space suit that his suit's oxygen is running out. Jim's condition gradually starts deteriorating. Jim begins to feel that this is the last moment of his life. He starts apologizing to Aurora for his actions. Then Aurora says, "Shut up. Don't give up. I am coming." Jim tells Aurora that he wishes we had met after 90 years. Would have spent my life with you and read the books written by you. Now Aurora comes out of the ship wearing a spacesuit and finds the location of the gym. She quickly starts moving towards the gym in space. But just as Aurora is about to reach Jim, the cable of the spacesuit gets short and she is unable to catch Jim. Jim walks away from him in the air. Seeing this, Aurora starts crying bitterly. Then suddenly the cable of Jim's spacesuit starts spinning in the air and comes towards Aurora. Aurora quickly grabs that cable and starts pulling Jim towards herself with the help of the cable, due to which Jim comes closer to her. Aurora brings Jim back inside the ship from space. Jim's condition is very serious. Aurora puts Jim in the medical scanning machine, in which the machine starts telling that Jim has died. Then Aurora angrily asks the machine to bring her back to life. Then the medical machine says that special permission is required to start medical services. Then Aurora remembers that Jim gave her Chief's ID band. Aurora allows the medical machine to perform treatments with the help of the ID band. After that, the medical machine starts all its services. After some time, Jim's eyes start opening. Aurora becomes happy seeing this. In this way, both of them together saved the lives of 5,000 passengers sleeping in the ship who were to reach another planet after 88 years. About a week later, Jim notices the medical machine and tells Aurora that the medical machine also has a setup command with the help of which the human body can be stabilized and sent into a long sleep. With the help of Chief's ID band, this medical machine can work like a sleeping chamber. Jim tells Aurora that I can send you into deep sleep with the help of this machine, after which you will wake up from sleep after 88 years and reach the new planet. Then Aurora says that there is only one medical machine. After this you will be left alone on the ship. Jim says that I have been alone before also. I don't have any problem. Aurora tells Jim that she will never see him again and she decides that she will spend the rest of her life on this ship with Jim. Both of them spend their entire lives in the spaceship and after 88 years the spaceship successfully reaches another planet with 5,000 passengers. So friends, how did you like this story? To hear more good stories, subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.